This is actually very gratifying.
So Layla's on the line, but before I get into Layla's call, I do have a fun story about Cookie Face / Jezzer. We were going to a Warner Brothers event together, the Teen Titans movie, and our Warner Brothers rep, I wrote his name down. My guess is gonna be Jezzer Reyes, and she said, "Hey, I don't mean this to sound offensive, but is his name really Jezzer?" And I wrote, "Unfortunately, yes." But it gets better. His middle name is Zeus. That was the best. So at least Cookie Face might be a little bit better than that, right?
Adorable.
So we're gonna put Cookie Face on parking passes now.
Cookie Face on parking passes.
We should sell T-shirts on the TeePublic store.
We should. Layla, sorry for keeping you waiting. What question you got for us?
Well, first off, hey guys.
Hi.
How are you?
Hey, Layla.
I'm doing good. My question is, how do you guys balance doing your projects on top of doing other things? Because I just started back school the 13th, and trying to balance my blog and school on top of homework is literally like, holy crap, how do I do this again?
It's actually a really good question.
I still haven't figured it out. That's why I had gained like 15 pounds since joining the show. Trying to find time at the gym is very hard.
I think our organized 40 emails a day guy.
Let me show the audience a color-coded calendar because that's what I live by.
We're working on it.
Yeah, here you go.
My God.
We dedicate very specific days. JPG way more than me since I only have the one show and he has the whole network. But I know for me, it's like, okay, Mondays it is definitely podcast day, and that means Sunday is definitely study day, and you have to kind of balance, and everything has to be very scheduled. If it's not scheduled, truthfully, we all procrastinate, and it all goes to hell.
Can you teach us a class or something?
Oh yeah, no, I'd be happy to.
This is a very good list.
Layla,
Does anybody else want to see him play?
Yeah, I actually do want to see this.
Actually, the calendar that Alex has access to has less than half of the calendar access.
Yeah, we need this.
I'll show you guys mine after this.
I'm sure Zach's working on something.
Layla, to answer your question, so you're going to school, right?
Yeah, I just started my junior year of high school.
Oh, congrats, by the way.
Oh, high school. I was thinking
College? Me too.
So, Layla, you know how each class is probably about like 40 minutes each, and like from this time to this time, you're in geometry. From this time, sorry, junior classes, you're in English 3, you're in, no, you're past U.S. history now, right?
The way at my school is world history is sophomore and U.S. history is junior.
It's junior. Okay, so you're going to that. I used to be a teacher.
What's
so
freshman?
Yeah, just general.
Social studies.
Just general getting beat up. but Layla, so those like 40-ish minutes, those 45 minutes, I want you to start thinking about your work and your time for passions, kind of like your classes, right? You're forced to be at your classes for those 40 minutes. You feel an obligation to be at those classes, right? So, so making sure that you feel that same obligation towards the beautiful work that you're going to be putting out, you gotta change that mindset, right? So how from like 8:40 to 9:20 or whatever, you're in one class, right? But like from like 7 p.m. to 7:40 p.m., you're probably gonna be at home or something. That should be your time to work on your passions. And when you set aside that time, that time is only for you. That is for no one else.
So I have a son in high school who has a really...
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Seriously?
really...
Are you an actual vampire?
Has a really packed schedule. I always tell him, you have to, for your college applications, you need your various clubs and your volunteering time. Educators hate social media, but does running a blog help on your college applications?
Yes.
I would say, okay, so
now.
No?
Yes.
Now in this
I would say now they do. 10
Yeah.
years ago, they would not have.
Yeah.
Now, when they, we're always looking for younger people in tech, right? So that's why, now they're switching coding classes to high school and things like that. So if you're running your own blog, then, that's using a lot of the writing skills that you're learning throughout high school. It's using some coding skills.
Community skills.
Exactly.
But be careful what you're writing, because that could be the difference between getting into the college or not getting into the college, depending on how you're representing yourself.
And that could always pop up
That
in
is
the
true.
past or later on down the line.
Oh, yeah.
Another question, too, I don't even know if this is a question, but more of a comment. I would never have expected these words to be coming out of my mouth. but how homework is super important. And I'll tell you why. It's because doing this kind of stuff, you take your work home with you.
Oh yeah, this is homework every day.
Yeah, this is homework every single day. So when people, all what you're learning right now with homework is just teaching you that your work is gonna come home with you. And I promise you, if this is what you end up doing, it absolutely will.
But I would schedule your homework the same way we're talking about scheduling your blog. So if you know, okay, Mondays it's the hardest usually, or Mondays it's the easiest, maybe that's the day I blog. And then I make sure that my homework or my studying happens at that same time. So 7 to 7:45 might be my studying time one day and my reading time the next day, and then my blogging time by the time I get to Friday. But you always know between that time you're not hanging out with friends, you're not going out to parties. That's your guaranteed of some kind of work. That way you're keeping up your school and your blog, but you're giving your body a consistency.
Yeah. Like I would, like for practical information, I'd say pick 1 hour, 1 day in the week, and try to stick with it for a month. That's 4 times that you're ever going to be working on something, right? Yeah. So try to stick with it for a month, and then figure out if you can stick with it, and then just keep going from there.
Next, Layla, you still there, or are you gone?
I'm here.
You have any more questions for us?
More Dos Equis.
Whatever.
Yeah. How you're talking about trolls and everything. How do you deal with your family like being trolls to you? Because I'm gonna be
Wait, you say your family being trolls?
Yeah, I'm gonna be straight up blunt with you. I'm the outcast in my family. Everybody else is in the sports, all the top of that. I literally, and they're extroverted. I'm a complete introvert. I literally lock myself in my room and I'm on my phone watching Toku. Like, that's literally my life.
That's awesome.
Okay, you're not alone, so continue. Where does the family trolling come in?
Because, like, I'm, like, the complete opposite of everybody. Like, it's kind of hard, like,
I dealt with that. I come from a family where everyone is a doctor. On the Persian side, everyone's an engineer, mathematicians, physicists. I have all these weird, like, high-level intellects, and I was a dude with long hair, playing in a rock and roll band who dropped out of college, and I had to deal with that for a long time, and I don't regret one fucking minute of it, not one. And you know what? I set precedent for my younger cousins. I just got off the phone earlier today with my cousin Saba, who ended up having like a hit single on the radio and everything, and he was just like, "You've done so much for me, man. Just the way you told our family, like, we're in America now and this is how we do it. Just you opened the way for it. So you just got to roll with it, and because you're going to be more successful at something that you're passionate about, that you're going to put 20 hours a day into, right? If you're forced to do something that you're not passionate about to make a living, yeah, sure, you'll cash a check every now and then, but you know, you don't want to end up like alone and drunk and miserable doing something you hate just because that's what makes your family happy, right?
I will say too, first of all, you're not the black sheep, you're special, and there's a very big difference, and always remember that. But secondly, remember that there's a family you're born with, and then there's a family you choose. And as you keep going in life, you're going to find that family you choose, those are the people who you're going to want to surround yourself with, and those are the people who are going to have your back more than anything else. And as you get into this geeky world, you're going to find those people. I mean, you're in a chat room with people cheering you on right now. And just remember that those are the people that are going to have your back. So just keep doing you and keep putting that special work out there, and I guarantee you'll find your place.
Thank you.
And I also want to say that, look, at the end of the day, you also got to look at kind of where culture is going, right? So something like Comic-Con, it's the biggest convention in the world. It's not just the biggest geek convention in the world. It's just the biggest convention in the world. So you're on the cusp of something that's already exploding. You should consider yourself more of a trendsetter than a black sheep. Yeah. And not only that, but be proud of the person that you are and be proud of the things that you're into. Because at the end of the day, like, I literally, 12-year-old me would have never thought that I'd be doing, honestly, making a living out of talking about Power Rangers. I'll be honest with you. So, and like pulling the curtain back a little bit, I had an hour-and-a-half phone conversation with Jason David Frank, 12-year-old version of myself, and he was just texting me earlier today. 12-year-old version of myself was freaking out. Adult version of myself is trying to contain that, and still it's like, holy shit, this is my idol. Like I'm texting or having a phone conversation with. So sometimes you just never know where your passions are going to lead you, but just stay on the path that you think that you should be on, and everything else is going to fall into place.
Thank you guys so much. You guys were amazing.
Good luck.
Thanks,
man.
Layla.
Hey, thanks, Layla. So everyone out there who's in Layla's boat, I recommend looking up a TED Talk by Daniel Pink, who talks about the importance of creativity in the world, the future that's coming for this world of automation. You know, the human contribution to this ecosystem that we've created is going to be more creative than mechanical, right? We're automating everything these days.
There's also a great TED Talk by Jesse Pinkman, who is a meth seller. Just kidding.
Wow.
Hey,
Bitch.
Yeah, that's how we do it.
oh, Layla says she legit started crying. Hey, you're awesome, Layla. Thank you so
Lots
much.
of love.
But yeah, any more callers that want to call in? But I think really like what everybody kind of got into this in such a different way, this is such a fascinating talk for me because I obviously didn't know a lot about everyone's kind of backstory getting into this stuff. But if you had to,
you're on sliders.
you didn't know where it was on sliders. That's a claim to fame, man. I don't know why you don't embrace that a little bit more.
I'm just glad it was the Jerry O'Connell years, because there was that 1 year it wasn't him.
It was like Charlie O'Connell. But legit, like, what do you guys think what would be your parting words of advice for anybody that said, hey, I want to get into this. What should I do?
Try. I think you don't know if you're going to like it. You don't know if it's your passion until you really put your heart into it and see what happens. You don't have to succeed right away. Don't think trying means you have to be amazing and have all these. I mean, our list of failures is just astounding and embarrassing. But we just kind of, it's not how you get knocked down, it's how you get up again that really counts. So just keep going at it till you find your place.
Before everybody answers that question, I want to ask a follow-up to that. Let's talk about list of failures, actually.
Oh, man.
Because I'm sure there's been a ton for each person up here.
Okay.
I was very, very against the idea of having guests on our show.
Really?
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
has been our biggest success.
Which
by
has
the way.
been our biggest success, and
Really?
I'm an idiot. But you know, it was one of those things where I was very worried about how we represented ourselves. We have a couple of us have very public positions, and you know, I didn't want a guest misrepresenting us. And then we kind of figured out like, oh, you know, guests wouldn't really misrepresent it; they'd be misrepresenting themselves.
Sure.
And so switching that mindset took me a while, and we got to it, and it was the best decision that we've made.
I have like a graveyard's worth of like dead pot.
I'm really just waiting to hear the titles of some of these podcasts.
No, not podcasts. Like it was like graveyard's worth of web, like just like of either blogs or webcomic blogs or etc. And it's like the amount of meetings I've had with other people who wanted to start something, and then like midway through the meeting, I realized like this is never gonna happen. Yeah. You know, even all the best intentions, you can feel that the vibe was wrong. And I started some of them, and like even I like halfway through went, oh crap, this isn't going anywhere. And that instinct was always right. And the ones that last are the ones where I felt good about the first meeting. And yeah, I think there was what was it like? It was like webcomic one. I was gonna start with some friends from college, and right away I can tell like 3 of my friends who are artists didn't want to draw it out, like didn't want to draw anything midway through this meeting, and I think we couldn't even. When I realized we couldn't even agree on a name, I'm like, oh crap.
You know it's downhill from there.
Downhill from here, and like no one talked about it anymore. I was part of a sketch comedy group for a while, and there was a moment where we tried to switch things up, and then that's where I felt like, uh-oh, this is done. I made the joke where I was like, me and the other 2 guys who were in the sketch comedy group, when we started making jokes to ourselves and not making those jokes as a idea for the group, that's when I went, oh, it's over. We're not trying to make this funny to them. We're realizing we're making this funny to ourselves because we don't like it anymore.
Yeah, that's painful.
Yeah. How about you? Alex, what are some of your...
Nerdy 30s.
Oh God,
when we were planning a wedding, and I was also training for Worlds at the same time. Our lives were just.
What's Worlds?
Oh,
Alex is a competitive world-class roller skater.
retired.
Oh, wow.
An Olympic
Retired.
Whoa.
competitive world-class roller
Retired.
skater.
Get out.
Yeah.
Are you really?
That's one of the
I was.
public jobs.
Now
Yeah.
I'm a coach.
You're an Olympic
An
roller
Olympic
skater?
level coach.
Oh, crap.
My team is actually training to go to Paris in October. Right now.
Oh, my gosh.
That's my secret identity, which most people can't find because it's under my maiden name, so it's like totally separate from my geek life. But yeah, so we were crazy busy. I was training all the time, night practices like 10 to 1 a.m. And then on top of that, we were planning a wedding with 250 people. And we decided, okay, we'll just do 2 hosts at a time so that, people can keep doing what they need to do. And it turns out that 2 hosts at a time, we are total shit. We had no guests, and truthfully, the best ones were with either Cole or I were with JPG, because at least there was some knowledge and some background, whereas Cole's more of the fanboy, and again, I'm learning. So when you have a fanboy and somebody who's trying to learn and no information actually being given, 30 minutes of just a poop emoji was handed to our listeners. So that was definitely one of our biggest fails.
That
What about you, bro?
We dropped.
We got a few big fails. The one that really just irks me, and it's not a very sexy story, but building Red 5 Studios.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we were
I
part
hear
of
about
that.
this often.
Yeah, it really just to this day is. I don't take very many things personally, but for some reason that one's just still grinding on me. We're about 4 feet away from a beautiful webcasting studio that I built.
They know what it is. They know the old studio.
Everybody knows the old studio. I put a lot of money into that. I built it, and I invested all this money to make this space for that hashtag show. I was more back then. I stopped being a cast member for a little while, and I was just more behind the scenes, and yeah, that really just to this day just irks me. I had to walk away from it. I handed it over to somebody else, and live and learn, man. It's not a sexy fail, but man, that one just really grinds my fucking teeth right now. I'm just like, ugh, yeah.
So, Jezzer, what about you? I mean, we just had Power Morphicon Prom 2018. Just
Wow, I felt like you were applying something to the job.
so, let's talk about some of the fails that you
Like career fails?
Sorry, just doing this stuff.
Just doing.
I have to contain myself. Just doing this stuff. Like, what are some of the fails that you definitely had?
Like,
Hey, Power Morphicon 2018 might be up there with them, though.
No.
Not for you personally, but
You're talking about like social media stuff or like YouTube stuff?
yes. Just doing this kind of business stuff.
Well, I mean, I'm just really starting. I haven't really.
Oh, must be nice, Jezzer.
Well, let me pull the curtain back a little bit. So Power Morphicon
yeah.
just passed.
Okay.
You were pretty disappointed with some of the
what?
content we didn't
Sit
get.
in front of this mic.
Oh,
Sit in front
okay.
of this mic and talk about it.
Oh yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah, there are some fails. As far as like I went into it wanting to just collect a lot of content just to.
Not saying we don't have great content for you. He just wanted so much more.
Yeah, I kind of was reaching for so much more, and I wasn't able to reach the quota that wanted.
You needed the JPG calendar to get you
Yeah, I
through it.
did.
You really did, actually.
I actually needed more hands, I guess. More.
One I remember specifically that you wanted to do for Morphicon was have me interview the
Yes,
the
and
Japanese
I
actors.
did reach out to him.
Yeah.
And that kind of just fell through.
And that was a pretty simple. It didn't happen, but I remember I was actually getting really stoked for it. I was getting
and
ready
I'm
to make.
sorry.
He's
No,
pretty much telling you let him down.
I let
No,
you down. I'm sorry, man.
this is my confession. But no, I was looking forward to it. I had a chance to have a fun segment, and again, that's not even on you. It's just a case where it's like that's just not what
Well, it's because they had.
Kind of
Yeah.
Hollywood.
Yeah, they had.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
They had one translator.
Yeah.
And the translator had like a weird schedule because it wasn't just a translator for those three. There was other people or something like
Now,
around.
that being said, if they had one translator, and if that was the issue, and I wish I knew that was the issue,
Yeah.
my friend who went with us, and she was one with the green hair, and she
Oh,
cosplayed.
okay.
She
May,
speaks fluent Japanese, and she was talking to them, having one-on-ones with them. So if that was
If
the
I
issue,
knew that,
I
yeah.
could have. I do wish you told me that. I would like.
Well,
wait,
thanks.
I got a
Thanks,
translator.
Now it's the fail.
2020 more for Con. 2020 more for
alright.
Con. Or Japan World Hero. They would
Yeah,
probably
there
be
you
there
Japan
for
World
that.
Heroes gonna be a lot easier.
Yeah, it'll be a lot easier. So.
But yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of things that I wanted to do with that convention that because we were stretched so thin, it didn't really happen. So
I think my biggest fail is the one that where we didn't put you in that Shark Tank. I really was hoping that we were gonna get that going.
oh yeah, Shark Tank.
I actually, so no joke, I did think about this. He brought it up, but and I'm sure a lot of you guys watching that know that Jezzer was a very hot topic issue for a long time, and I was legit thinking about, instead of the Megazord cockpit, making a Jezzer dunk tank booth, being our booth to have people try to dunk tank
You
them.
could just
If
have
you
a
guys
cookie
don't
face
know, I'm
button.
I'm a
face button,
pretty controversial. I bring a lot of controversy to the show, so
You did bring a lot of controversy in the weeks leading up to MorphCon. That's a
yes,
fact.
yeah.
All right, so that was that one question. Now I did ask you guys all, and you did explain it pretty eloquently. But for the rest of you guys, to I don't remember what the question was.
Alex, do you remember what the
We were doing
I don't
fails.
remember what
You
I
want-
answered.
you
No,
want
before fails, it was
Okay.
it was about.
Did we get Joe's fail?
advice?
Oh, we
Yeah,
did.
we
No,
got- yeah.
my biggest fail, realistically,
Oh, how to start.
I do have a fail though.
Okay.
My biggest regret about hashtag show is not starting on the website side of this before. the
Which I
YouTube
was
channel.
pushing for
Well,
years.
no. This is even before I even knew you. But like
Yeah.
looking at it now,
Yeah.
I wish we would have started web instead of the YouTube first. Because now it's a lot different. 'Cause
Yeah.
we're more recognized on the website side of things than we are the YouTube side of things. However, if we would have started there, it should have been a complete game changer.
By the way, the website looks amazing.
It does.
Thank you.
Good
Yeah.
job, bro.
Thank you.
Now I do want to talk about like giving people that advice that they could take into whatever venture they want to do with this geek entertainment stuff.
I'll go.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I already went. It's all you guys.
Scheduling, and then making sure that you're doing or saying something important. Whether it's important, if it's important to you, it's going to be important to someone else. And if you don't put your voice out there, if you don't put your work out there, that deprives other people who could have enjoyed or could have connected with your work. So making sure that, you know, when you have a voice and you feel like you want to get something out there, put it out there, because this could ultimately help or save somebody.
Yeah, great point.
To kind of like, because I feel like I could just repeat what you just said. Repeat what you just said. So I'll add another kind of like asterisk to it. Whatever you decide to, however you want to contribute, I would say find an angle that no one's done before, or find an angle that's unique to you. Like the big thing is that like you yourself as your audience at the same time. So if it's something you would want to listen to, there's the thing I think Ira Glass said, you know, of This American Life post, where he said something like, you yourself have good taste, and if you want to be a creator of some fashion, the reason you want to be a creator of some fashion is that like there's a hole that's not being filled and no one's filling it, but you know what you want to be. Yeah, and I know, don't go dirty on me on this guy. No. But like there's something
I'll
missing.
fucking fill your hole.
There's something missing in which you feel like no one is doing what exactly you want to do in it. And so like you, whatever you decide, how it would be podcasts or YouTube or blogs or whatever, make sure it's something that you feel like there's a thing, this like say like Tokusatsu, like, you know, or you like Power Rangers, but no one's approached it at this angle that's important to you. That's how you should approach it. And when you find that approach, then it makes it more unique to you, and it makes it more special to you. And hopefully there will be someone else who's looking for that and go, oh, cool, this person's addressing a thing that I've always wanted to see or hear or read. So there you go.
Ro, you have something in the comments. Black Lady
Yeah,
says
it
what's
was
that?
Daniel Pink. I'll get the exact name in just a moment. It's a really powerful talk. I also have the book, but you get it. There's a couple of things that I would recommend people who are moving into a creative space to read as far as learning material. And that Daniel Pink TED Talk is great. It just lets you know that, you know, this is a creative future that we're headed forward. And, you know, just take that with you. But I'll look up the name. So didn't mean to cut you guys off. Whoever's next. Go up.
My word of advice is be you. And the reason I say that is because, and I don't know if Jezzer was, you might have been here actually for this, is that you guys know we were doing the Ranger wrap-up, and we were talking about Power Rangers, blah, blah, blah. And then, yeah, honestly, the franchise let me down a lot. And I voiced that opinion to you guys, and you guys all started reacting to it, to the point we actually just did a second show that same night, which you were a part of, where it was just us being honest with the fans and showing you how much change can be done. And I know that we might not be a huge part of the change that happened with Power Rangers, but look where it is now. Right after that, it got sold to Hasbro, and now it is where it is. So, I mean, I feel that change is something that it's always a positive thing. It always can be a positive thing if it's used for good, I guess. Just voice your opinion, because you never know who's listening to you, and you actually never know who's on your side. But that's just my little advice. What about you, Jezzer?
Oh yeah, Jezzer, you're important, cookie face.
Do it if you love it, and if you love it and you're working on putting out content, consistency is key, I think. Like, just set a schedule and keep releasing as much content as you can, and keep doing it until you don't love it anymore.
My advice is, you already know that you love it, so just get good at it, be consistent, and figure out how to scale it and build your fucking audience. Don't get disappointed and drop out after 2 months, because you're not gonna. I'll be honest with you, your viewership is going to be 0 for the first 2 months. Okay, 3 months in, you might get 1 or 2 people to watch your shit. You need to put in a year. Okay, that's just being real. And if you don't have that in you, you got to be really honest with yourself. Why no one has come aboard? Maybe you just suck, and you got to come to terms with that and just get better. And I'm sorry, I talk to a lot of people that do this. Most of them suck and will never make it. You got to be fucking real and listen to the good criticism. All right, be real and honest with yourself, but at the same time, you just have to fucking grind.
All right. On that note, guys,
baby.
where can everybody find you on the social media networks?
So I'm JBG. I am the owner of the Geek Say What Network. You can find us at Geek Say What in any social media.
Not Twitter. We don't tweet.
We don't tweet. Yeah,
Stay away
Twitter is super toxic.
It is not. That's not a joke.
You can find me on Instagram at Justin Quiz, Twitter. I have one. So at Justin Keys on. Yep, you can find my podcast. All my podcasts are under the Benview Network, so that's include Benview and Spielberg. My monthly Spielberg podcast, which I already mentioned a couple times. We are retiring that show soon. And Nothing New, a remake podcast. And I did, like I mentioned here, I launched a new show last month called Morning Word, and that's actually right now only available on agentsofguard.com. We're working on iTunes, Apple Podcasts. You can catch me and Jezzer on Henshin Hangout. Boom. And my free webcomic, Shining Yusha, that's available for free on Tumblr.
I don't have nearly as many things. You can find my podcast on the Geek Say What Network, which would be geeksaywhat.com, iTunes, and Google Play, and Apple Podcasts, whatever. All of those places that you get podcasts, pretty much. The handle is at Ready, Set, Geek Podcast. You can find my personal, it's kind of Jewy. It's Alex with an Oi.
Oi, oi, oi!
Kind of Jewy.
Alex is ALIX, because my parents can't spell.
You can find me at that hashtag Joe on all social media. You can also find me on ScreenRant.com, and tomorrow for my last Ranger show ever, and then it goes to Jezzer. I'm just fucking with you. Let's be honest, you guys could not do this without me.
Hey, don't scare. I just put a lot of money into this shit.
Everyone got really nervous for a second.
I'm about to sue your ass.
No, I'll be here. I'll be here tomorrow on Retro Range Wrap Up with L. And also the 25th anniversary episode
Tuesday
is going to be on Tuesday at 7 p.m. Join us live here at the Comic Book in Manhattan Beach. We're going to be joined by Peter Sodarso, possibly another Ranger. Brendan Mejia is going to be here, former Dino Charge Ranger.
And Victor and Monty from the
Victor
show.
and Monty from also Power Rangers Ninja Steel. So that's going to be at 7 p.m. on Tuesday. Join us live. And Jezzer, where can we find you?
You can find me on all social media at Jezzer Zeus. I'm also on Ranger Wrap Up, Henshin Hangout, and on Thursdays we do the comic book show Infinity Watchtower.
Ro?
And I'm Ro. The handle is that hashtag Ro. Why do you make fun of me when I say the handle?
Handle's not like a thing anymore.
Oh, they use that for Xbox.
Isn't that like a BJ and the Bear CB radio thing?
Yeah, it's like Breaker 19. No, it's not that.
What's your handle? What's your handle?
So
you know what? Don't fucking reach out to me. I don't want to talk to you fucking people. I'm busy making money, bitches.
God.
I'm not making money, so you can totally reach out.
He's at that hashtag Ro. He's on the Star Wars show with me on Sundays. We'll be here this Sunday talking about the latest, which I guess we're gonna have to get a prep sheet for tomorrow.
God damn it.
We'll figure that out.
We'll
tomorrow.
figure it out. We spent an hour talking about the fucking budget last week.
We
so
did spend an hour talking about a budget. Yeah, that
we'll
was
figure
crazy.
it out.
But guys, thank you so much for joining us. And if you like what you heard, saw, witnessed, click it right here at Pop Culture Renegades. I was going to say that hashtag show. And check out these guys at Geek Say What, the podcast network. You guys are doing a great job.
That's
Thank
fucking
you.
cool, guys. Kudos.
And if you guys want to get into this more of the business side of this, or even more of the how to break into this, request any one of us to your local convention, whatever convention that may be, any convention you want to go to, request any one of us, and we will more than likely show up and be happy to do it. Thank you so much for watching, and we will talk to you guys next time.